Hi there, welcome to the African Businesswoman podcast. My name is Loveline Bassi. I am the host and founder of the African Businesswoman movement, and we also have this podcast. Thank you so much. First of all, thank you so much to everybody who has been listening to the podcast, those who have been following us on social media, those who have been commenting, those who have been sending in their stories. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Now, if you have not yet sent your story in, or you know someone, or you want to send your story in, or you know someone who is an African businesswoman, and each of us have our stories to tell, I want you to tell them to just click on our jot form link and fill in the form. Like, you can do it anonymously. You don't have to tell us who you are. You can give us your full details for us to call you and ask you for more details. But listen, when we get to the stories part of the podcast, we are going to be narrating a lot of the stories. So we will probably will not say the name of the person, but a lot of people will identify themselves in these stories because it happens to a lot of African businesswomen. So today I decided that I want to talk about purpose. And I was thinking about a conference I had recently where I was speaking to a couple of women, well, a number of women. And it was really about business. I had quite a bit to train on and to talk about. But then, amongst what I wanted to speak to them about was actually purpose. Because when I was preparing for the conference, and one of the things I do when I prepare for a conference, even though it's a business one, it's not really a religious one. I actually pray about it. I meditate on it. I make notes about potential topics. And then from there, I decide on which topics speak to me, or that I feel in my spirit would give value and would really meet the need of the people attending that seminar, meeting, training, workshop, conference, whatever it is. So I had this presentation on purpose, and really, I didn't know how it was going to land. I just prepared it. But one of the reasons I prepared it was while I was getting ready for this conference, I had something in my spirit that kept telling me that, do you know, a lot of women do not have a purpose? And I was thinking to myself, like, how is that possible? I started to interrogate it, and I started to do some research, and I started to look at my life and how I got around to my purpose. And I started to look at the stories of different women, started talking to different people. And I realized that actually that is true. A lot of women do not have their own purpose in life, never mind for business. And one of the podcasts that I did, I mentioned how when it comes to being a businesswoman as an African woman, the business just happens. Really, it literally happens. So it's not like you plan for it, you work on a business plan or whatever. It just starts. So because there is no purpose, you find that a lot of African businesswomen tend to be kind of all over the place. They do a whole bunch of businesses at the same time, and none of them really have a purpose to where it's leading. And I'm not saying this to blame the African businesswoman. I'm not saying this to make you feel bad. I'm saying this because this is a true statement. As an African woman, before I talk about the business side, as an African woman, the African society raises us to believe that we don't need to have a vision. We don't need to have a purpose. Like, just study. If you get the opportunity to go to school, learn, come out, graduate, get married, and then your husband will tell you what his vision is for the family. And everybody works with that vision, and everybody works towards that vision. And nobody, not the wife, needs to have her own vision. And because of that, or even her own purpose in life, because her purpose and her vision is essentially whatever her husband's purpose and vision is. In some cases, God forbid that she has hers, because when she has hers, they say, well, yours needs to be in line with your husband's own, or subject to your husband's vision or purpose. Never mind that the husband may not even have one. So you find the situation where a lot of African women don't have a purpose, they don't have a vision. And it would be great if African business women have their purpose as African women, right? If they have their purpose and their vision, and then they can sit down with their spouse and discuss this, and the spouse can say, "This is what my vision and my purpose is," and they figure out how to align both so that they work together as one. Listen, the Holy Book even says, "Can two work together except they work as one?" So it shouldn't be this thing of it's my vision, it's my purpose, and you don't have to have one. You just have to chase mine. Because then you find that a lot of African women tend to be lost most of the time, or a lot of the time, without their husband. Now, one of the things that I really don't like about the African culture is especially where you have communities that have created this widow, what do you call them, widow society. And they make these widows look like beggars, and these widows are always looking for arms, and they're not really empowering these widows with business and stuff. But these widows are just pitiful people and pitiable people because they are lost without their husbands that have passed, because they never had their own purpose or their own vision to start with. Everything was tied to this man that they were married to. They had no identity outside of the man. So even when they have a business, let's call it a petty trade, because they like to refer to this petty trade, even if they are petty traders, you sometimes find that even as petty traders, it's what they were given permission to do. So there's no purpose to this thing. It's I'm selling it, whatever I bring, I'm selling stuff, whatever I bring home, it gets added to the basket, or I use it for XYZ. It's not a plan. It's not something that goes towards somewhere. And even when you have the career African women, they also are victims of the same thing, because their career is subject to the vision and the purpose that the man has. And because of that, and I'll say this because I think I like the way this guy said it. It's a male motivational speaker that actually made the statement that many women become lazy to discover their purpose because they've been conditioned to believe that they don't need to have one. Okay, so you're probably wondering, why am I carrying on about purpose? This is supposed to be an African businesswoman. I'm supposed to be talking about the business side of things. Listen to me. If you do not have a purpose and a vision for your life, that business you are doing, it can crumble anytime, any day, and you will be lost. You'll be starting all over again because you don't know where you're headed with it. You have no sense of direction with that thing, apart from buying and selling and just using the money to meet your daily needs. You have no sense of purpose towards your community. Your purpose is essentially your husband. And there is nothing wrong with that if that is what you believe your purpose in life is. If you believe your purpose in life is your husband, or you believe your purpose in life is your husband or are your husband and children, that is also okay. Each to his own, or each to her own. But if you want to become a solid businesswoman as an African woman, you do need to have some sort of purpose to your life. And yes, I am a firm believer that if you are married, your purpose with your spouse should align. And you should work together to make sure that they align and you're heading towards the same direction. Not that one's purpose is greater than the other. Yes, I get the whole thing about the man being the head of the family and all of that and all of that. I am not litigating that today. I am focusing on purpose. Okay. So here's what purpose does for you. When you have a purpose for your life, you know why you are doing what you are doing. If I wake you up in the night, you can tell me, I am selling bread because I want to achieve X, Y, Z. Now, if you are selling bread to feed yourself for today or for tomorrow, that is just a goal, because it's just a thing for today. It's a temporary thing. It's not a long-term thing. Your purpose should be a long-term thing. So by the time I was done with this purpose presentation to this group of ladies, out of everything else I said in the 2 days, in the span of 2 days, the thing they stuck on was the purpose. Because by the time I asked them what their purpose was, and they told me a couple of things, and I said, okay, let me tell you what my purpose is. And I told them what my purpose and my vision is. They were blown away. And then they realized that their purpose was not a purpose, it was a goal. Buying a house is a goal, buying a car is a goal. It's not a purpose. And by the time that we were done and I said, go think about it, meditate on it, I'm finding that some of them are coming back and saying, oh, you know what, my purpose is to be able to have a voice in my community so that I can help other women to become financially independent the way I became financially independent. My goal is to encourage, my purpose is to encourage other women. My purpose is to educate other women, to have them informed about whether it's health, that's what their purpose is, and that is what they want to focus on. So they started to dig deep. They started to dig deep, and then they started to realize, oof, I don't actually have a purpose. I've just been working with what my husband has been saying is the vision for the family and the purpose for the family. I don't even know what mine is. How does mine fit into the vision of the family? And it should fit into the vision of the family. And I promise you, when you have a purpose as an African woman, your business, you don't just do any business. You do your business with a purpose, because it's to fulfill something. It is going somewhere. Also, when you have a purpose, your family purpose and your family vision is easier to achieve, because you have something that is driving you, that it's within your core. It's something you believe in, it's something you buy into. It's not something that somebody told you to do, it's not something that somebody told you to work towards. It's something that you believe in your gut, in the very fiber of your being. You believe it, you know it, that this is what you have been placed on this earth to do, and then you carry it out. So there's a vision for your family, there's a vision for business, there's a vision for community and all of that. You have your different visions for different things. But if you don't have that vision, that big vision, and when I say big vision, I don't mean telling someone that I want to change the whole world. That's a bit big, a bit grand. But if you can make it smaller to your community or to a place, to a city or to a country, make it, your vision is more manageable. But your vision should scare you. Your purpose should scare you, because it should be something that is bigger than you, and it should be something that you're working towards for the rest of your life. It's not that you're never going to attain it. You attain it, but it's a process that you keep attaining it at different points. You keep attaining it, and it's a continuous cycle, and you keep attaining it, and you keep carrying it out. But it's a lifelong thing. Once you have a purpose, your business is towards that. Any business that does not serve that purpose, you won't do it. Someone can tell you, let's go sell lands tomorrow. Then you realize, but this does not serve my purpose. And if it doesn't serve your purpose, let me tell you something, it's likely going to fail. That is why you find a lot of African businesswomen doing all kinds of business, doing more, they're serial entrepreneurs and in different types of business that don't even relate to one another, because they don't have a purpose, they don't have a vision. So they don't know where all of this is taking them. They just want to do it to survive today. They just want their family to survive today. They just want to contribute to their family. So I want you to sit down and think about your purpose. I want you to sit down and think about your vision. I want you to take time. I want you to do some research. Check what is purpose on the internet. Check it out. Because once you're able to check it out and you know what it is easier for you to come up, to start meditating, not just come up, but to start meditating on what your purpose is. Now, at this point, I want to tell you what my purpose is, because I think when I tell you mine, that will help you understand what I'm talking about. But before I tell you what mine is, I'm going to tell you something in general what purpose is. I mentioned this before, but let me just hit on it again. Your purpose is essentially the reason why you do something. It is your why. It is what you were created for. It is the reason why you exist. Your purpose, it gives you a sense of determination. It is that it gives you that drive. It is the thing that even on days that you feel tired and you don't feel like doing this, you don't feel like doing that, it pushes you and you get up and you go. Now, what is my purpose? My purpose is to empower the African woman, empower her financially primarily, because I believe that if African women are empowered financially, empowered with information on how to become financially independent, it is a game changer for our society. Our society will be set for generations to come, because I don't think we have explored the depths of what the African woman can bring to the business world and the financial stability she can bring. It is underplayed, it is downplayed, it is not given enough space to shine. It is still a man's game. We're talking about developing the African continent, but if we were to develop the African woman as much as we're developing the African man, and not just develop her up to a stage where we now say, listen, at this point, you now have to listen to your husband and do what your husband says or what your father says and play that and put a lead on her. If you were to break that glass ceiling and remove that lead, you will be amazed at what the African woman can attain. If you were to give her, open doors for her, give her tools, you'll be amazed at what she can attain. And this stuff, we're talking about borrowing money from the IMF, the World Bank, and all of these international institutions, collecting money from different countries. Just put the African woman to work and see, give her the same opportunities. Don't put any lead on her, and just see where the African continent will be. So, what is my purpose? My purpose, again, is to empower the African woman, empower her voice, empower her capability, and all of the stuff I'm doing, but this podcast is towards empowerment. My business, my health business, it's towards empowerment. It's financial empowerment. The talks that I do is about empowerment. I want to give the African businesswoman, the African woman, a lot of information and teach her how to do what she needs to do to succeed. Information is power. When the African woman is empowered financially, she has a voice. When she's not empowered financially and she cannot even buy her own underwear, nobody listens to her. Just look out there, even for men, it's the same thing. If a man has some sort of financial stability, people listen to him. But if he has nothing, nobody cares what he's saying. The same thing applies to a woman. So, this is my purpose. My purpose is empowering women. And I do it through different vehicles, through this podcast, through my businesses, through the talks that I have. That is what I'm doing. That is what I'm doing. Now, because I know what my purpose is, I'm not going to go start selling human hair tomorrow. Not because it's not a great business to do, but because it doesn't serve my purpose. Any business that I do on this earth must serve my purpose of empowering African women. Whether I'm trying to grow that business as a means to an end to make money so that I can create a financial platform for African women so they can access finance for their business. So I'm just telling you what my purpose is. Now I want you to go discover your purpose, because I tell you, once you know what your purpose is, as an African businesswoman, that will be a complete game changer for you. You will not have to beg anybody, because you will be making your own rules. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. Please, please feel free to share it. This is available on Spotify, it's available on Apple, it's available on different podcast platforms. So just look for the African Business Woman on different platforms and you'll find it. Share this podcast because you never know who it's going to motivate, who it's going to help. Share it and let us grow our African women. Let us empower them with information. Let us get them out there. Let them discover themselves, discover their purpose in this life. And when they discover their God given purpose, I'm telling you, they are better, their family are better, their children are better, and their community is completely better and changed. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. This has been Lovelyn Bassey. I look forward to your comments, your feedback, and I look forward to talking to you again on the next podcast. Have a good one. Bye.